Peace and blessings, guys. It's the Queen of Spades coming at you. So, in this video, I wanted to discuss boundaries. I think that that's the best way to describe, you know, how people, or basically give an overview on the issues that I'm about to discuss and how either there were or there weren't boundaries, and maybe even possibly how they were crossed, those boundaries, and what you can do when you feel like your boundaries are crossed. So I have talked a lot about differences that people may have, whether those differences are lifestyle choices or types of partnerships, or whatever the case may be. I don't have a problem with people because of their differences. The only reason I may have a problem with someone is because of their actions and energetically how they come off to me. I'm never just not liking a person because they're different from me. The only way is if a person affects me in a negative way. That's the only way that I have a problem or an issue. Or they come after my children in a way, shape, or form. Oh, well, then we have a real problem. So basically, what I'm talking about here is boundaries, whether they are already in place, whether people just willfully cross those boundaries, whatever the case may be. I'm talking about that today. Put your comments and your questions down below, or any experiences that you want to share that you have personally gone through, where you have seen, observed, or experienced similar. So I have a question to pose because it goes on topic with the subject matter at hand. How many of you out there have dealt with situations where someone may come on to you by chance, and they just simply may not be someone that you are attracted to, but they're attracted to you? How many of you out there have experienced similar? And if you have experienced that, please write in the comments below how you dealt with that situation. Did you let them down easily? Did you even tell them how you felt? Or did you just not say anything at all? How did you deal with that situation? I want to know, because that's what this video is about. So, one of the situations that I personally experienced, someone who I considered a good friend. They had, at some point before we became friends, they basically told me that they were lesbian. They have a marriage with a wife, basically different things like that. And those types of things, I don't judge. I don't look at like, oh, you're a horrible person because you're a lesbian or you're a man who likes men. I don't I don't necessarily judge those types of things. They don't bother me. Now, I don't necessarily partake in those types of activities, but I don't feel any type of way about others who choose that lifestyle. It's just not necessarily for me. Who knows? At some point, I could change my mind again, but I don't see that. But you get my drift. Like, everybody has freedom of choice. And whether I choose to be straight today, gay tomorrow, uh, whatever, monogamous, not monogamous, whatever type of lifestyle you choose, you have that right to choose for yourself. And she chose to be lesbian, and that's fine. That's her choice. At some point, you know how girls do, or even guys, when you're with your homies, you're with your friends, and you're discussing, different subject matters where relationships are concerned and things of that nature. At some point, she would ask me like, well, would you ever would you ever try, or have you ever thought about being with a woman? And I was like, no, because I felt like I knew where she was going with that. So I shut that down completely and was like, no. So even if I have ever thought about being with a woman, she would have never known that, because I felt like she was going somewhere with that. So my answer was no. And at some point, the conversation came up again at a later time, and she asked me again, but would you ever consider being with a woman? And I said, nope, once again. And then we had another conversation sometime after that, and the question came up again, well, but would you ever consider being with a woman? And I said, no. And I'm looking at her in her face like, you got one more time to ask me that question. I thought I made it plain the first 3 times. So since then, she hasn't asked me that question. And probably because I was looking at her intensely, like, don't fuck with me. You asked me that question and I answered it. And now it's almost like you're trying to push your agenda on me. Don't play with me. So after that, and there was many times where, as friends, like I've stayed overnight at friend girls' house before, gone out to eat with them. It's never any funny business. Even gone out of town with them, never any funny business. So there were times where she's like, yeah, you want to go, out of town with me? I don't have nobody else that's free to go. And, we would room here, and there'll be 2 separate beds and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. You thinking you just getting out with a friend girl of yours, like you chilling with a homie, so you're not, if you're not of that mindset or that thinking or that lifestyle, then you're not really thinking nothing of it. You're not, thinking anything deep about it, except that you're going with a friend girl, out of town. There's been times when I've gone with her to these different places, and, we ate, we watched TV, or we're both on our own phones, in our own spaces, in our own beds. And, it turned out to be, like really relaxing, almost like mini vacations with a friend girl. And, you're not thinking nothing of it. But at the same time, even though this person is like a friend, she's an older person, so I'm looking at it like from the beginning, she also was kind of like a mother figure too. And that's the space that I've always held her in. And so at some point, and then she's always doing like really nice things, things that I never really ask her to do, that she volunteers to do. Like if I need to get, if I'm going out of town, like by myself or something, then she'll call up like a room, put it in my name, and then I'll just pay the fees. I'll pay them when I get there, whatever the case may be. Different things like that. Like she's really good with things like that. So I'm like, this last time, she's like, can you come with me? Because I'm going out of town again. And I don't really have anyone going with me. So at first I'm like, nah, like I'm not feeling it. I don't even want to. But then I was like, even though I said no, she has done some nice things for me. So I'm going to go ahead and go this time. And the whole time I'm trying to get my mental ready because it was just something about the energy that made me not want to go. Something. I don't know exactly what I was feeling, but it was almost like a feeling like that I shouldn't go. But at the same time, I felt like spirits were telling me, go ahead and go because, you've got to pay it forward. Somebody just doing things for you, being nice for you, even though you didn't ask them to do anything. Just going to accompany a person is not necessarily a bad thing. So I did it. And at some point, there was a reason for the mission. We had to actually go to pick up some orders of some things. And, because, they run a business or whatever the case may be. So at some point, we put our stuff into the room and we go and get something to eat, get a bite to eat, bring it back to the room. And, we're sitting down eating. Before we even went to get a bite to eat, there was even signs of her like preparing for some sort of event even at the beginning. But this is how out the loop I am as a person because once again, if you're not on that level and you don't live a certain lifestyle and you're just a genuine person like me who's like completely honest about everything and open about everything, like if you don't live that type of lifestyle, you're not thinking like this person is like kind of like plotting on me in a sense. So she had lit a candle. It was like a white linen candle, or it smelled like linen. And she had some incense going. And she was like, you taught your sister well, I know that you love candles and you love incense. So, and she's like, I know I got these incense because you said that, the ancestors really like, frankincense and myrrh. So I got me some too. So I was like, okay. Now, on face value, once again, I'm not thinking nothing about nothing because I burn incense and candles all day long. And it don't necessarily have to mean a damn thing except that I'm burning incense and candles. Like I love the way they smell. And I love fire and I love smoke too. So having a combination of both of those, from candles and incense just puts me in a zenful mood. Like to the point where I'm just like so at peace. Like I'm not even, in no type of on no level where I'm stressing about nothing or nothing like that. I'm just in a zenful, state. And I might be on the phone. I may be playing games like on my phone, whatever the case may be. But I'm not really thinking about nothing too tough. At some point, she's in her bed, I'm in my bed, and we both go to sleep. And at some point, you know, she well, it was like, okay, we were only staying a day overnight. So the next morning, I didn't really get any sleep at all that night because I really truly just wanted to be back home, in my own bed, in my own home. But, I took the trip or whatever. On top of that, the pillows, and I'm noticing like the pillows in hotels, they're so soft and squishy. There's no firmness. So my neck needs that. And when I don't have it, oof, when I don't have it, it starts to ache and I feel uncomfortable. So I didn't have that. So as a result, it just was like one of those situations where I'm like, well, we only stay in today. So I'ma just, deal with it or whatever. And get a good night's sleep tomorrow when I get back home. Or, in the car ride on the way home. So at some point, I'm already up. She gets up, and we're just talking, getting ready to go, getting ready to get dressed and head out. And at some point, she's like, "Oh my God, my back is hurting so badly. Oh God, oh my God, it hurts. Oh Lord, it hurts." She pulled out a bottle of lotion. I don't know where it came from. I didn't see it beforehand. I don't know where it came from. But she pulled it out and she's like, "Put this on my back. Oh my God. Oh, it hurts so bad." So and I experience back pain. So I'm like feeling kind of bad for her. Because I got my man at home that helps me with that. Like when my back and my neck is hurting, I ask my hubby to massage me. And then, he's able to help me to get rid of that pain. So, I'm looking at it like, well, she is an elderly woman. She kind of lives alone for the most part. So, I'm going to help her out real quick. But then the thing that disturbed me the most was, this is where I feel like a boundary was crossed. When she went to sleep with just a shirt, a big t-shirt on. So she didn't have on any underwear. And when she came to me and asked me to rub her back, she just simply pulled up the t-shirt and just basically exposed her bare ass to me. And I'm just sitting there like, really? Like that's where the boundary was crossed for me. But I'm still sitting there like, okay, I'm trying to gauge in on the energy of the situation because I'm empathic, so I can pick up on energy as if someone is talking to me, as if the energy is talking like words, but it's energy and I feel it and I'm able to pick up on it. So I'm sitting there and I'm getting a gauge on the situation. I did get some of the lotion and I proceeded to kind of like that to her back because I wasn't really interested in touching her like that. The energy that I was picking up from her was like definitely on some like sneaky shit. Like, I know I can't try to, get her in bed or whatever, but this is the closest I could get to her. If I just get her to touch me, then I'm good. And like I said, I proceeded to, kind of like pat, I guess, the areas that was in pain. And she's like, it's all the way kind of up my spine and going down to the bottom too. So I'm like, personally, as I'm sitting there, I'm looking at her at the back of her head, and I'm just taking in the energy. And I'm looking at her at the back of her head, and I'm saying to myself, because the energy felt purposeful, and the energy felt like she was trying to set the tone so that something sexual could possibly come from us being in a situation where she's practically naked and exposed like this. She wanted something to come from that. And I don't roll that way. So I don't have a problem with people who do roll that way, but I personally don't. And I felt like boundaries were crossed, even though I have set them all along. She purposefully kind of like acted like a creep, like, lying in wait for the perfect opportunity to come at me. And that was unacceptable for me. At some point, like I said, I'm staring at the back of her head and she is going crazy. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh. And I'm just like, I'm not even like, I'm barely touching her. And I thought that the whole thing was a sham. But I felt like she had set the environment or the tone for something else to possibly happen. So like I said, I'm staring at the back of her head and I'm thinking to myself, if this bitch try me, she not gonna walk out of here like without a limp, because I'm gonna try to fuck her up, like to the extent where she need to be carried out in an ambulance. Like, that's what I'm thinking in my mind. If she try me, it's going to be on and popping. And she didn't try to go any further than that. Instead, afterwards, she's like, okay, thank you. And she's like, let me get you a washcloth for your hands. And I watched her as she moved at normal speed to go and get this washcloth for me to wipe my hands, which told me, and by the way, in none of our trips, in none of our times together, has she ever complained of back pain. So this was a first for me. And like I said, she went and got this cloth, and she went with such normal speed. It had me questioning, like, did she really even have back pain from the beginning? Or was this some sort of setup for her? Well, honey, after that, on the way home in the car, I basically slept the whole entire time. And, it was a really good sleep. I kind of slept with one eye open because at that point, I felt like I can't trust you. Like, if you can try to cross certain boundaries with me, knowing that I don't flow that way. Like, I've answered a question, a repeated question, at least 2 or 3 times before that should have let you know. That should have been more than enough to let you know that I'm not interested. And you tried it anyway. And the reason why I know that she tried it is because I went to Spirit about it. First, I cut her off, because it left such a disgusting taste with me. Like you out here, acting like a whole creep. There's women out here that go that way, like you go. But instead, you're trying to force yourself on me. And I have a really big problem with that, because you know that I don't go that way. And so for you to try to force the issue, like, it just makes me look at her some type of way. We will probably never ever go on a trip together ever again. And she fucked that up by acting like a creep. Because we could have still been friends, we could have still been cool, and she could have had her lifestyle while I got mine, and we could have respected each other's boundaries like friends are supposed to, and just enjoyed each other's friendship. But she couldn't accept us just being friends, so I can't accept it either. So I have no problems with letting that friendship go. And even now she'll still like kind of comment and on things of mine, and I'll reply, but I'll be civil. I'll be civil to a default. I'll be cordial too. You won't even see, like, because I can control, like, people seeing if I have a problem with them or not. However, I don't even think nothing should be said. You tell me down below in the comments if you agree or disagree. But I don't think even at this point anything should be said, because she knew exactly what she was doing. She was coming on to me. I have done different forms of divination, and they have shown me where this was purposeful from her. And different questions I had about the situation. This was purposeful. She meant to do it. She was hoping that something came from it. And I don't appreciate that. It's kind of like she crossed the line of no return. And now I don't even really desire a friendship. What's y'all opinions on that? Comment down below. Let me know if you've ever experienced anything like that. Or if you have maybe observed someone else experiencing something like that and you have an opinion on it, please comment down below. I'm interested to know what everyone's take is on this. But I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the day. And I look forward to talking more with you guys soon. Peace and blessings.